Hello, I hope everyone is well. I hope you liked the story last week of Jesus as a boy in the temple. If you haven't watched that story yet, do go back and watch it, because today I'd like to do a craft to go with it that you can make. It's the story of how Jesus went with Mary and Joseph from Nazareth to Jerusalem, and on the way back Mary and Joseph thought that they had lost Jesus, so they returned to Jerusalem only to find him in the temple. But Jesus didn't think that he had been lost at all. He said, "Didn't you know that I would be in my Father's house?" By that he meant the temple. And we as Christians would say that God's house is the church. But of course the church is not just about the building. The church is the people who worship God like we can now wherever we are. So if you would like to tell that story to your family, you can do this craft and have a go. So to make a scene of Jesus as a boy in the temple, you will need to cut out the front and back of a cereal box, and then you will need to sellotape it together along here. Turn it this side and this can be your background. Now we need to have a sign saying Nazareth on the left and Jerusalem on the right. So you can use the cardboard from the sides of the box. There'll be plenty like this left over for you to cut your signs out. So let me put this down for a minute and show you that I have done Nazareth and Jerusalem. And these have been cut out of cardboard. And I've coloured some more cardboard to stick to make a sign for the village of Nazareth and the town of Jerusalem. I'm going to use some glue to stick the sign of Nazareth. I'm going to put glue along the back of that stick down here as well, and I'm going to glue that to the beginning of our picture. I'm going to do the same for Jerusalem. Just stick down the centre at the back of the name, stick the stick on, glue down the back of the stick, and you'll need to stick that somewhere around the middle because we need to put the temple here. For the temple, I have used a large envelope. I've got lots of envelopes like this at home because when we give birthday cards to each other, we always don't stick the envelope down so that we can reuse them. So you might do that too. You might be able to choose a pretty envelope, doesn't really matter what colour it is, for your temple. And this is going to go here on our picture. I'm going to put some glue all around the edges of the front of the envelope, and then we turn it around. Hold that up for you in a minute. Need to make sure it's behind the sign of Jerusalem. Stick that on there, and Jesus' house in Nazareth will be much smaller than the temple, of course. I've got a nice little envelope here. Hopefully you will have a small envelope amongst your collection. Stick the front of that, we'll put glue on the front of that, and then stick it onto our picture at the bottom so that actually it can open up and the roof of the house can stand above the envelope there. You might like to decorate your scene by drawing a road. Let me have a go at doing that now. You could draw a road going from Nazareth, perhaps a windy road, to Jerusalem, getting bigger because Jerusalem is a much bigger city than Nazareth. You could draw some palm trees maybe on your road. Palm trees are always bendy, they sort of bend towards the wind. So we have curved leaves. That bend round like this, and then a jagged edge to them. But you have fun decorating your scene. Maybe put a few more trees on, maybe put some grass on the edge of the road, a few rocks perhaps if you want to do that. And then we need our people for our scene. We have two very clever looking gentlemen here who are going to be in the temple. Remember those clever Jewish teachers that we had in our story, and hopefully they will fit right in so that you can fold the roof down to hide Jesus when he is in the temple. Let's find Jesus. Here's Jesus. Hold it up to you there. That's Jesus, who's going to be in the temple. But he's not really hiding, is he? He's talking about very clever stuff with the clever Jewish teachers. And we have Joseph, who at the moment, let's put him in his house in Nazareth. And we're going to make Mary, who I haven't finished yet. So to make all of your people, you will need to cut out strips of card from the side of your box again. These strips are 1.5 centimetres wide. If you've got lolly sticks, you could use those instead. I don't have any lolly sticks, but I'm using this cardboard instead. So here's Mary that I've cut out earlier. I'm going to draw a face on her. So 2 eyes and a nose. See if I can show you here. Show you when I finish the face perhaps. And a mouth. I'm going to give her some long black hair. There we go, there's Mary. And I have used tissue paper for the other characters. I found some tissue paper. You could use material or wrapping paper, or you could colour. The only colour I've got left, which I'm sure Mary will be delighted with, is some pink tissue paper, and I'm going to wrap that around her. I've cut it into a triangle. This is what I did for the others. Look a bit like Batman wings sticking out there, but if you just wrap the tissue paper all the way around and just keep going round and round and round and round. I did this with all of them. It'll look like she's got a sort of cloak around her here, and then I've got some sellotape here, which I'm just going to sellotape around the bottom of the tissue paper. And if you've done it nice and firmly, then that shouldn't move. And I'm going to put Mary at home with Joseph here. And oh dear, all our learned people from the temple have disappeared. Now when Mary and Joseph go and find Jesus in the temple, and he says, "Didn't you know that I would be in my Father's house?" Of course he was talking about the temple, and I thought it might be nice to write a verse up here. You could write, "Didn't you know that I would be in my Father's house?" because that's from the story. I've chosen to write, "Let us go into the house of the Lord," which is Psalm 122 verse 1, because that's all about us waiting until a time that we can go to the house of the Lord. We can go back to church, we can go back to Lighthouse, we can go back to Church and Chips, and it's a day to look forward to, in the same way that the people who sang this psalm many years ago would also be looking forward to going back to their temple. Just find Jesus there because he's the most important person in this story. And there we are. Have fun telling the story of Jesus the boy in the temple to your family. Bye.